Talk to Congressman John Fleming, Republican from Louisiana, who joins us now from Capitol Hill. He's a member of the Tea Party caucus. Congressman, good afternoon. Thanks for joining
us.
Hi,
Chris.
Can you support this deal?
Well, we only have an outline of it. As you know, it sounds like that it's a combination of the Reid, Boehner, and McConnell deal. And as I understand it, there's several things about it that I could not support.
Tell us what they are.
Well, number one, it may gut military to the tune of as much as $800 billion. We're already right on the edge of a hollow force as it is. It takes away the requirement for a balanced budget amendment passing both houses. Also, the trigger in order to go to give the second tranche of money would be a requirement of a 2/3 override vote to keep the president from triggering that himself. So those are very weak in my opinion.
Well, let me ask you about the possibility then that we could be looking at a Tuesday, maybe into a Wednesday, maybe into a Thursday. Look, I was in Louisiana about a week ago, and that's before this even really heated up to the level it is now. I don't need to tell you how disgusted the people I talk to down there are, people all across the country are. You talk about, you know, the possibility of, cutting defense spending, and we're hearing about literally military families around the world worried about whether they're going to get paid. Are you willing to take this up to and including default?
Well, remember, default can only happen if we don't pay the interest on our loans. On the other hand, downgrade probably or very possibly could happen anyway. Remember, Moody's says that you got to cut $4 trillion for us to feel comfortable as a safe harbor not to do that, and this falls way short of that. There's no reason the president is going to be responsible for who gets paid and who doesn't get paid, and that would include Social Security, retirees, active military. So quite frankly, it's up to the president. He can pay them if he chooses to do that. I
don't know if you heard Barbara Mikulski earlier today, but she made the point, and I think she reflects the view of a lot of Democrats, frankly, that she says, look, we've given the Republicans about 80% of what they've asked for. And the criticism obviously is that there is no sense of compromise on your side. There's no sense of compromise from the Tea Party. What have you been willing to compromise on?
Well, we've come down from the $4 trillion of cut, cap, and balance. We have...
Which realistically was never going to happen. And you knew that going in.
Well, that's the unfortunate thing, because the American people sent us to Washington in 2010. I was elected in 2008, but as you point out, 87 freshmen were brought in, Republicans, conservatives, many of them Tea Party members, in 2010 to turn this government around. And they're saying, many in fact tell us don't raise the debt ceiling at all. So we feel like that we're making a compromise even to be doing that. But having said that,
you're not suggesting that the majority of the American people think, because the polls certainly don't reflect it, that it's a bad idea to raise the debt ceiling?
There's a significant number. If you look at the polls, and I've done polling myself on my Facebook, which has 28,000 friends on it, a significant number of people, not half, but a significant number, would say don't even raise it at all. So we're getting a lot of pushback from Americans who say no more debt, no matter what.
But not a majority.
Having said that, not a majority, no.
Even, and I mean, just to be fair, Congressman, I would think that a lot of your friends are people who voted for you, or people who tend to be the most conservative. So I think it would be fair to say that maybe a Facebook poll for you would not necessarily be very representative of the country, certainly, and maybe not even of your district.
Well, they're not mostly from my district. They're from across the country, but they do represent Tea Party likes, conservative folks. That's my point. The conservative people in this country, the Tea Party people, are saying don't do it at all. Now, we're not going to respond to that by doing what they ask, but what we are going to do is make sure that before we raise the debt ceiling, that we're going to put cuffs on Congress and the president, and we're going to push forward for a balanced budget amendment so that we don't get into this big mess again.
What's your thought right now? Do you think that a deal will get done before Tuesday night?
Chris, we're on standby. The Republican caucus right now, we're waiting to hear. We're going to go on a phone conference as soon as we hear, and the Speaker wants input on this deal. I heard my colleague Raul Labrador from Idaho say that he feels that it's likely to pass under this, but mostly with conservative Republicans and very liberal Democrats not supporting it. I suspect he's right about that, because we barely got the Boehner version of the bill, which was kind of a diluted cut, cap, and balance passed in the House. And but that's with Democrats not going along at all. So we need Democrats to join in if we're going to get anything done here.
Louisiana Republican John Fleming. Congressman, thanks so much for taking the time.
Right. Thank you, Chris.